this session, I guess. So today's session is going to be, there is a phenomenon that's emerging, and we wanted to see, build a concept and a framework around it and see how most of the community can take advantage, the entrepreneurial community can take advantage. And selling is essentially an approach which is a common pattern that we are seeing across many successful SaaS companies, especially B2B. We are really talking about B2B SaaS companies here, right? Where they're not having any presence pretty much in the US or any other place, but primarily out of India. They're able to attract good customers, paying customers sitting out of India, doing both marketing as well as selling. And this session is all about getting into the nuts and bolts of that. It's not a high-level gyan. It's going to be the details of what really happens in these companies. So basically, our product KissFlow falls in that category. And we have put together a very relevant panel, which is it comprises of people who sort of done that, figured that out, and they can actually share real experiences when it comes to the nuts and bolts of the desk marketing and selling. That's essentially how we are going to go through this. From a process perspective, a couple of things. We're going to have two logical parts of this session. The first part is going to be a marketing session. We have like an hour and a half with us. So we're going to sort of break after the marketing section and then go to you for questions and then come back. Again, continue the selling session. So we'll make it as much interactive as possible. So without much further ado, I will ask my panel to do a self-introduction. Take two minutes. Tell about yourself, your product. Pitch your product for 2 minutes, and from there we can go.
So hi, I'm Neeraj, and I'm the founder of Grexit. Grexit essentially turns your Gmail into a simple, powerful collaboration tool. So it lets you use Gmail for customer support, sales lead management, etc. It's one of the most popular tools for Gmail and fairly highly rated in the Google Apps marketplace. We are a small team of just 6 people, and we have customers all across the world. Yep.
Great. Hi, I'm Sunil Patro, founder of a company called SignEasy. So we solve the problem of slow, inefficient, and resource-intensive paperwork for small to mid-sized businesses and independent professionals' business processes. And the way we do that is through a simple, secure, and affordable cloud-based mobile-first electronic signature solution, and we eliminate, the traditional processes of printing, scanning, faxing, and shipping. Most of our customers are primarily located in North America, Western Europe, and Australia, New Zealand, South Africa, and places like those. And we are our product is based on a free trial, then upgrade-based, subscription-based premium models. So we are actually right now, compared to the other companies here, we are people think of us as a mobile app, but we're actually a software as a service powered mobile app. It's just that the touch point is on the mobile. And one of the we have been in this space for 4.5 years. One of the top 25 grossing revenue apps in Apple App Store, have sought up to like number 2 rank in US and in top 10 ranks in many other countries' app stores. So that's it, yeah. And hopefully, I'm looking forward to add value in terms of like how do you move from a consumer-centric app to actually go on and project it as a B2B professional, and sell it as a SaaS product in the market. Thank you.
Also, we are going to actually release a video of this session. It's going to be available on public domain. So,
thank you. Hey, my name is Krish. I'm the co-founder and CEO of ChargeBee. ChargeBee is a subscription billing solution. So basically, we specialize in all kinds of complex billing use cases for subscription businesses. So generally, recurring billing, when you look at it at a high level, it's fairly simple, right? It's you charge a customer $100 each month, and then you continue charging. But in a B2B SaaS scenario or any subscription business, there is always a 20% use case of lots of customers who come in who have different needs, right? From a customer standpoint, they say, don't charge me for the month. And then it becomes, you would put effort to go and modify something to make sure he's not charged on that day, and then you shift the billing date. So every one of these corner use cases, all the complex billing logic is what we handle. On top of global payment gateways. So we are integrated on top of 30 plus payment gateways worldwide. We serve over 500 customers worldwide, and on top of these 30 gateways. And most of the customers are either SaaS company. It's more like a box seat watching all the SaaS companies going through the different levels of growth, and also e-commerce subscription companies. And many of these e-commerce subscription companies are in the sub $1 million to $1 million plus range, which are entering into the subscription space. So that's predominantly what we do. We have incorporation in US and India. We are a 29-member team based out of Chennai.
Okay, that's fantastic. Okay, so before we jump straight into marketing, I just want to basically set the context right. So what are some of the basics that you need to get right before you push the pedal on sales and marketing in a big way, right? So things like pricing and so on, right? So, positioning, lots of stuff. So the first one that I would want to go through the panel, probably start with Sunil this time, is that what is that you can bring to the audience in terms of the customer acquisition model, especially the B2B SaaS-based model? That's something that we need to have achieved the clarity before we sort of push the pedal on the sales and marketing.
Okay. So if you just think about not just subscription, right, but think about any product. The first thing is, you're looking at like how do you position your product, right? So obviously there may be competitors, or you may be creating a new market, in which case you don't have to worry about positioning too much. So find out the unique differentiators and make sure that when you're positioning them through your, whether it's a website or through your app, which is inherently in the...
What is the positioning that you took vis-a-vis the marketplace? What was give us a color for what's operating in that marketplace when you launched, and what position did you took?
So fortunately it changed. Okay. So we actually created the market for mobile e-signatures in 2010. Okay. So we had at that time we had competitors, DocuSign and Adobe EcoSign, and they were completely based on the web. So when we came out with mobile, it was like, hey, has anybody figured out to sign in a document electronically from the mobile device? So we didn't have to compare ourselves at that time. No? Hey, if you're traveling on the go, or if you're a person whose job requires to be on the field, you can do all your paperwork electronically, from your phone. But over a period of years, it changed. There's always going to be a convergence where web guys will move to mobile, and we would also move to web. So during the transition period, what do you do, right? So we played the angle, which is that we are one of the first mobile-focused solution, and that means that we are attacking a very micro niche segment. So we're only meant for like productivity-oriented people, right?
It's basically a well-understood problem, like digital signatures, but a new angle to that problem. In this case, it's mobile first.
Yeah, it's angle. A new touch point to do the same thing. Okay. Much more easier compared to using it on a browser or on a desktop. So that was one angle. And the other angle was, we, of course, one of the things we did at that time was we didn't want to come up with a very expensive pricing system at that time.
We'll come to pricing a bit. We'll get the positioning correct. So I want to come to Krish, and then see, at the time you launched, you already had Chargify and Recurly and other products already in the market. So how did you go about launching ChargeBee in that existing market already, right? So what positioning did you took? How did you go about doing that?
Right. So the existing products, when we launched, so there are two segments that we see. One is the enterprise space, where the Zuora and Aria systems already existed in that market. Zuora being an enterprise subscription billing company, started in 2006. And then there is the very small business startups, and then the SMB segment, where there is Recurly and Chargify, which already existed. So the way we positioned ourselves was to appeal to the customers in a way that we are giving more options to them, So the very first approach of saying, hey, we support 30 plus payment gateways, and that by itself opened the conversation for a lot of people when they started noticing it, to say, okay, so that's a lot of payment gateways, and so can I bring in like a much better lower rate payment gateway and work with you guys, right? That just showed the flexibility that we bring to
it's a low cost alternative strategy.
I would say more flexible, more flexibility in terms
I'm
of.
not saying low price, I'm saying low cost, which is a different thing, right?
I'm not ashamed of saying that. It's just that we never meant to position it that way at all.
Okay.
Instead, it was more about more flexible options.
But why couldn't you have positioned it that way? Because that seems like very clear message to a customer who's looking for a low cost alternative, right? For example, if I'm looking for something, right? And people are always searching for alternative to something on Google. So it's not a bad position to take. There's nothing wrong in it, right?
It is. There is nothing wrong in it at all.
Yeah.
It's just a signal to the market with the way you just position it. And billing being such a critical system, they want to be sure that, okay, we are going to be around the way we price the product. And that's a very fair concern from a customer, and we had to address it. So we didn't take the position.
Is it that finally they take that message when they look at everything, and then
they look at all the products, they understand that, okay, I'm getting a better value product at a lower price is something the customer themselves will understand. It's just the nature of the customer, that they always research all the alternatives. All we had to do was just get a better product out there when they evaluate the product, and give them more options when it comes to payments and then their vertical specific need. So we specifically addressed two things, which is focusing only on SaaS and e-commerce, and we kind of ignored pretty much every other vertical need. That way, when a customer from one of these two markets come in, they clearly see that, oh, I have everything that I need. A shipping address is something a e-commerce guy immediately notices and starts thinking, oh, so which means you capture my customer information along with card and shipping address, and do you also allow me to take all this and then print it in a label so that I can plug into a shipping center? Right, and they get it. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So we started, I think with a very tight fit with a small niche. So
Like doing customer support
Yeah.
on Gmail,
Yeah.
isn't that itself
Yeah.
is completely a new
Absolutely.
thing, like
So
a new
that came
category
later.
in some
That
sense?
That came later. So what we built, our core feature is something that makes your Gmail's labels shareable. So you have labels on Gmail on the left pane. We let you share your label with any set of Gmail users. And incidentally, there are people looking for that on Google and on the Google Apps Marketplace. And when we launched that, we had a very natural fit with those people. So we got users easily. They came.
But how do you do that? Because people in Google, how do they even search for something like that exists? How do I search for something like label in Gmail for doing this something?
That's not a very odd concept, because Microsoft Exchange has a concept of shared folders on Gmail, right? So a lot of people who are coming to Google Apps from MS Exchange had a notion of being able to do that, right? So and they were looking for that, and we had a very natural fit for that. And then when we looked at use cases, they were essentially using the feature that we built to do customer support. So there are a lot of workflows they were working around. So from there we took off, and we started building features that allowed us to cater to those use cases, right? So we essentially started with a very good fit with a small set of people who were looking for exactly what we had. And then, as we learnt about what people were doing, we branched off into various different directions. So I think that is, from our perspective, very important. You should have a very good fit with a certain set of people, and when we have done that, maybe after that it's time to push the pedal on sales. Yeah.
So getting the positioning right is very, very important for us to push the pedal. And the next important thing is customers getting the feeling that this product price point is the one that I can afford, and I can go forward to the next step of logical evaluation, right? And then that's when the real sign up happens and things starts moving, the needle starts really moving. So what's really becoming critical is in SaaS, getting the pricing right. It's not expensive. I'm not saying getting a low pricing, high pricing. I'm not at all saying that. Getting the pricing right? So how do you go about doing that?
Yeah, so the best price is the highest price that the customer will pay, right? So, and so we started out with a very small price. It was just $1 per user per month, and the philosophy was that the user is already paying $5 for Google Apps per month, right? So, how much more can they really pay for something that is an add-on? And as we progressed, we figured out that philosophy was wrong, because People were using our product not simply as an add-on on top of Gmail, but to solve specific business functions like customer support or sales lead management. So our opportunity was pricing the product not as an add-on on top of Gmail, but as something that competes with a mainstream customer support tool or sales lead management tool. So from $1 per user per month, we are now at between $6 to $15 based on how much you use the product, and it's selling well. So that's
meaning I have because we also sell into the Google Apps market. I have a slightly alternate view here. So in our case, it is true. What you said is true, but in our case, many of the times the Google salespeople pitch our product along with Google Apps. Now there is a deal size that they are pitching to the customer, right? And Google Apps is $5 per user per month, and they already have a deal size for that, right? Ticket size for that. Now, if you're, let's say, for whatever reason, Kissflow is $10 per user per month, and there is no way it's going to fly. So
how I would respond to that is that probably Google is never going to sell our product because I think how Google would look at it is that what percentage of Google Apps users are going to need the product. Maybe in your case they saw that maybe it's 80%. Right. In our case probably it's 10%, right? So
that makes sense. Okay. So pricing.
Yeah.
How did you figure that out? So you should also tell us how did you get the initial free users and all that stuff, so that will.
Sure. So when we launched first in mid 2010, we of course the nature of the mobile market dictates that if you want to get some early traction, you pretty much make it free and you learn from the users what do they like about it. Are there any other use cases that you can take care of? So it took us a couple of months to get a lot of feedback, but that was a validation of the need in the among the users. But then we realized that okay, so I think we have a decent chance of making it a paid product. So we looked at competing apps, not really competing apps, but we looked at paid apps at that time. And for my case, I never had an experience of pricing a product. So we started with okay, let's limit the free version of the app to a certain number of documents. Then let's make it a paid model where if you just do one time in-app purchase, you get unlimited access, lifetime, unlimited, and whatever not, and all kinds of stuff. So we started with actually $2.99, which is $2.99. So
it's a one time.
One time,
Okay.
And that was my inexperience in pricing at that time, right? And again, by that time there was no set models for like subscription pricing and few other things like that. And once we saw that people are actually upgrading from free to premium, that proves that a lot more people would need it on a daily basis, on a weekly basis. So it took us probably a year or so when we said, okay, no, I think $3 is too low, so we made it $10 one time, right? But once we saw adoption among professionals and SMBs, we realized that we are not a standalone product. Sometimes your pricing has to reflect the true cost of your, whatever it takes for you to run the business. So we are actually to a user, we're actually providing them a secure vault for all your contracts you ever opened, you ever signed, and that basically means we have costs in the back end, right? And the more a user uses the product, there's more stickiness and there's more cost in terms of infrastructure, in terms of reliability, in terms of support, in terms of storage. So we moved from $10 one time to $10 a year because that was the most transparent way you can say. Okay. It used to say $10, now you just say $10 per year.
Nobody will notice it.
Yeah, I mean we'll tell people like this is the reason why we are. Our job is to make sure that we are there to last long, and we want to make sure that we can add value to you over a longer term. But by that time, we saw, Evernote, Dropbox, they all fall into the category of this, prosumer market, right? Professional, consumer, SMB market. And we saw that the pricing is around $3 to $4 per month. So on an average, comes to $40 to $50 a year for premium, for pro or premium plans. But we couldn't do it immediately from 10 to 40 because we felt that we still don't know if people are willing to pay at that level, and it's still an early market. So we made it from $10 to 20, 30, like over 6 months we have been like looking at the conversion ratios, And again, the reason we have to do it from 20 to 30 to 40 is because we have been bootstrapped from the original days. So we always had to make sure that if our team is growing, if our costs are growing, we need to make sure that we're running at some sort of profitable business model. And surprisingly, I think people have gotten used to just paying $3 to $4 for either a productivity app or a business app. Whether you're an independent person or if you're a small to mid-sized entity of like 5 to 50 people, whoever is the owner or whoever is the decision maker, they know that it is pretty standard for a cloud-hosted product. And we have seen very minimal change in the conversion ratio because of the pricing, but that definitely buys us a longer time to innovate faster, to hire more people to do a lot more radical things in this space. And at the end of the day, if you, no business, like somebody in an IT department, he's not going to tell their employees, he's not going to buy a software which which costs $10 lifetime, and they intrinsically know that the implicit value it provides, right? So if you create a perception of very low product, maybe there's something wrong about it, right?
There is one common pattern for both of you, right? You started out low, and then looking at the uptake, and then slowly increase the price point till the time that you reach, what the customers can pay. So something like that.
And then the competition comes into picture, right? So once we have seen our competitors come to mobile, we have seen their pricing. So now you look at, okay, maybe you'll do a feature match, right? If there's some new use case being supported by your competitors, you can't price them exactly at that. You provide some sort of a discount to it. So you just have to find the middle ground. But it's always an experiment.
Okay. Sir.
Right. One of the interesting things that we observe based on geography and also where the founders come from, right? The pricing. So when companies actually try ChargeBee, we tend to actually have very good interaction with them, talking about how do you model your pricing page into ChargeBee, right? It's all, you have a base plan, you have lots of components that you try to charge. One of the things that you tend to find is, especially the name mistake a lot of people make is they tend to have 1, 2, 3 levels, right? Your enterprise, right? Base plan, enterprise, and so professional, and then enterprise, and then they tend to have a top tier plan which is stagnant, and then that's unlimited use. And we actually go back to them saying you're leaving too much money on the table. It's very much applicable to us, right? Our own pricing. So the way our product is priced is it starts off at $49 for a startup, and then there's a $79 plan, $149, $249, and it goes with the number of invoices, the growth of the customer, nicely aligned with the growth of a customer. But that's not the only dimension that needs to be used. So what we figured while we were supporting customers was there are customers.
How did you exactly come up with this initial one?
So
did you do competitive landscape-based mapping, or?
So the competitor, if you have existing competitors in that space, even if you do not really have established competitors, well-established competitors, even if your market is not commoditized, you still know the benchmark that you are going after, right? If you are going after, your sweet spot is, let's say, startups, and you're being compared against people who are evaluating a Stripe, and then thinking, okay, I don't want to pay too much, but then I want to make sure I don't want to build all these components on top of Stripe or an authorized .NET. Now, what do I do? And then you give them an entry price point that is reasonable, right? You don't want to price it too low. At the same time, you want to make sure you are charging enough to be able to give them the right level of support. So we started at $49 and said, okay, so here's 100 invoices.
That's the question I'm asking. Why 49? Why not 19? Why not 79? Why not 9? Why 49?
Interesting question. Well, if you price it a little too low, so it depends on the nature of your product as well.
Okay.
Right? So we even had, naively when we started off, we even put pricing called 20 cents per transaction. I think I interacted with Dave at that time. He had a very interesting feedback on that. So we even said, okay, no monthly minimums, just pay 20 cents per transaction, grow with us. But then when you understand from your customers that if you are targeting all SaaS companies, the growth is not not all companies grow with this hockey stick right away. It takes longer for them to figure out, and then the hockey stick happens, right, for a small percentage of them. And what you learn is it takes at least 1.5 years before your customers are actually going to start paying you reasonable amount. And you try pricing at 20 cents per transaction. And if they stay at less than 100 customers a month, right? Imagine when it's going to take, how long it's going to take for you to get that minimum amount. And that is the phase in which you are actually giving a lot of support to this customer. The support level expectation, whether they are paying $49, $249 is no different, right? If they have something urgent, then you need to attend to it. Okay. So depending on the priority of the product, the type of product that you have, you tend to price it at the right level.
Okay. Before we jump into marketing, the last question on getting the basics right? So one is the first we talked about positioning, second one is pricing, and third one is actually freemium versus free trial, right? So let's probably start right with you. You have the mic. Sure. So how do you, because SaaS, there are two models, right? One is freemium, another one is the free trial model. Mm-hmm. So how do you, in your case, is it a free trial or is it a freemium? If it is a free trial, why not freemium? Why did you choose free trial? What was the rationale behind it? Tell us all about that.
Sure. We in fact had free trial plus freemium as well. So the way our product works is you can start with the free trial of the product, right? Because it's a billing system, we give them a full experience of integrating with the product while you are developing your system. If you're developing a SaaS application, you can integrate. So we need to provide like a full API layer, completely functional system, along with a dummy payment gateway, which is a bogus payment gateway, which will work like a new payment gateway, with a real payment gateway, except you don't get the money in the bank. Right? You can actually test out everything. So that free trial is actually forever, and it's not even time limited, because it takes, some people take like 6 months, some people convert within 2 hours. Some are like extremely good developers who come in and then integrate everything, and then within 4 hours they send a love letter saying the best API we found, right? So you find different range of people. So we have a free trial that's like forever.
So you have a free trial forever.
Forever, right? So it's again, it goes against the, but then that is there. And then we also tried freemium for 6 months. So the experiment was, can we get a lot of customers who are starting out with less than 10 invoices a month, and then give them a free option. And then if they go beyond the 10 invoices, 10 customers, after they have first 10 paying customers, let's start charging them. Right? We even introduced that. And what interestingly happened was we started attracting lots of companies which are actually, and we said, okay, to get this free, this is what you do. You just like what Mixpanel does, yeah. Right? You take a badge and then put it on your website and link back to us and say freemium partner of ChargeBee billing and powered by ChargeBee billing, right? So something like that. You put a badge on your website and you get the free 10 free invoices per month, and you do that. What interesting happened was we started attracting lots of customers in very specific segments who were asking for lots of invoicing based features, and they were comparing us against FreshBooks or other products. And then we dig deeper and then talk to these customers. You actually find there are more services companies which are trying to make the transition towards slightly SaaS, or services companies having this recurring relationship with customers. So you're attracting the wrong type of customer with a specific a signal to the market. You attract, but the best thing that happened was we increased the conversion rate very fast.
In my view, do you guys, anybody want to take a counter at it? I think this guy. Because you have done that, I guess.
But actually, I mean, we actually don't. If you go by Joe's model, right? Mm-hmm. We would expect us that we are also serving similar set of customers, that we would be freemium based, right? Mm-hmm. But we are not. So, and I think that is. It's not that we blindly took that approach. We started with free, which we always tried with. Start with free trial, then upgrade to Pro. So the way the free trial works is, you received a document, you heard about us, or you decide, okay, let me try out a document signing app because of sensitivity and stuff, and you are done, right? We give you 3 free credits to sign, and
3 free credits
so you can sign 3 documents, and okay. If you refer friends, you get a couple of more documents for every sign up. But then those are early the first time consumers who just discover us and they want to get done with this particular task. And so we thought that, okay, why not? And we were getting significant number of pro upgrades, right? Like standard, like 6 to 8% conversion rate. So, and we decided, okay, why don't we just do a full free, like a freemium, where you have a basic product which is free every month to use. But the question becomes, like in our case, the number of documents is the more important one. So if you look at the usage of our customers, if you start giving them 3 documents every month for free, the guys who are upgrading to Pro after running out of 3 credits, they're not upgrading anymore, right? I mean, even if you sign, so our app is for like if you look at the usage, like the usage curve, like probably 1% of customers sign like hundreds of documents like every quarter. But most of the significant number of users are like they sign 25 to 30 documents.
So sounds like the takeaway is like I was originally thinking at the lower segment, it might be okay to have freemium. Even that seems to be busted now.
Yes.
Because even at lower segment, people need to have a free trial. Is that what you're saying?
So you need to decide based on your usage rates of your Pro users. Okay. You can decide whether you want to create a lifetime free version. Okay. Because, for example, if you just give 1 document for free every month, then it's not really of much use, because the guys who want to sign 2-3 documents in the first attempt, they will be dissatisfied. So, right? So in our case, we said, and we actually looked at it, right? The conversion ratio dropped a lot. Okay. And that even impacts a lot more, because our pricing is based on yearly. We don't take monthly pricing. It's only yearly pricing. So think about, not only the conversion ratio going down, but the fact that you have multiplied by 12 effect. It's a lot. And so I think the gist is, look at what's your basic usage pattern of your Pro users, and then figure out if you want take away that portion of the conversion by just introducing a perennially free product.
Okay.
So
let's step right into marketing. I'm going to skip the freemium free trial for you. So I think we're doing good on time. So where do we get started in marketing? Give us some color to it, because there are lots of stuff you can do, right? Inbound, outbound, cold calling, telecalling, email marketing, this, and there's tons and tons and stuff. But if you're starting off with a B2B SaaS product and you're a small team, less than 5 members, and you have a limited amount of time with you, and it's important to prioritize on a bunch of things that produce really, really high ROI for your marketing activities, right? Just give us a couple of examples, each one of you, right? What is this 2-3 things that you need to prioritize, and then do that and execute on that?
Yeah, so there are 2-3 things which worked very well for us in the beginning. Number one was presence on the Google Apps Marketplace and the Google Chrome Store. Okay. That was very important, and as soon as we launched there, we could see a clear, visible difference in the number of users that were coming into the funnel. Number 2 was finding forums where possible customers might be hanging out. For us, Stack Exchange was where a lot of people were discussing stuff around Gmail API, and they were very good early adopters. So that was number 2. Number 3 was we started working on our organic traffic very early, and within 6 to 8 months that started showing results. So that essentially was finding a set of keywords that will work for us. So that was the very long tail keywords which did not have a lot of traffic potentially, but they were a very good fit. And so essentially these 3 things is what we did in the beginning, and 6 to 8 months we saw results.
Okay, so I think you start with having a great website. There's no reason, even if yours is a minimum viable product, or minimum viable product that can be sold to a customer.
Sometimes
you start with
people end up outsourcing the website development. What is your comment on that? Because that was one of my points, I'm going to ask later.
Yeah, I mean, for example, like we were a mobile app, right? So we don't have front-end developers, and there's no need for us at the beginning, right? For us. So whatever is costs, I mean, you look at any mobile app company or any other, like the new startups that are coming up, just to create the best impression. Even though you're a 2-people company, but have an awesome concept video or an explainer video. Like if you're looking at a concept video, really good concept video, like live interactive live person, it can cost you, let's say, $3,000 to $5,000 for a 60-second video, right? But it's worth spending it, because it's a catch-22, right? If you have an awesome website, even if a customer doesn't come, but if you send it out to a PR or a journalist or a blogger, he'll be impressed. This looks like a world-class product, and he's going to spend some time on it, right?
Website.
Yeah. So, but in the website, the first thing you should have an awesome video, right? Because that way you don't have to talk about anything else. Just put a really awesome video and then download links or sign up or login links. Then you can build from there. You know, there's a bunch of things I think you might be able to add because.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. In our case, it started off with just being helpful to customers by answering different forums, starting with Quora, places where people, Hacker News, people where our potential customers are hanging out, having questions about, hey, which payment gateway do you use in this part of the world? What problems are you facing? So just being helpful, genuinely helpful, and then answer the question without pitching anything about ChargeBee, and finally just putting your signature there, right, with ChargeBee name in it.
But is this during the product market fit phase, or we're really talking about the post product market fit phase, right? Where you're really trying to scale marketing.
Correct.
So in early days, you're trying to figure out the product market fit, right? At the time, you're just talking to customers, building the rapport and all that stuff.
Right.
We're really talking the next step.
Right. So one-to-one stage, yeah. Beyond the one-to-one stage, then you. But during the early market fit stage is when you actually invest in certain things which bear fruits over a 6-month period, like you said. Content marketing, which is writing helpful blogs, which also helps you think through what is that you are trying to deliver. Right. So instead of directly talking about the product features, you tend to talk about the customer's problem, and then what is it that they should focus on. Just being genuinely helpful, and then having a good blog calendar, and then publishing regular blogs is a very good way to build organic traffic. 90% of our customer signups still happen through organic traffic, and if your product especially is something where people are going to do good research before they find you, right? They want to find all the alternatives. Then being in the top 3 for those keywords makes a huge difference in Google search. And the only way to do that is by creating good content. And
so what you're saying is website, next blog.
Right. Get started with good content that is for humans to read, right?
Okay. So website, good content, and watering holes of customers, which is marketplace. So this is like the third point, right? So one of the things that in our experience, I just thought I'll add these 2 bits, is that initially we thought of even outsourcing our website development, but later we realized that website is such a core asset, we should not even think about outsourcing it. We actually have a 2 to 3 member team now, fully dedicated on website, because we are doing continuous A/B. So the SaaS is all about things are changing so dynamically. You got to change your website pretty much on every weekly basis or even twice in a month, right? So you have to have a website team which can actually work on those timelines. So by having an external team, we were never able to meet that. So having and investing the team, that internal team, which can actually create awesome website, is really, really important. And this may be obvious after we say this, but sometimes a lot of young companies seem to miss this actually, right? So we just thought we'll mention that. The next logical question is about search engine optimization, right? Now, what is your strategy for SEO? How did you go about doing that?
So from a SEO standpoint, just doing the basics right is all that is required, right? Just creating good content and just being knowledgeable about all the basic aspects of SEO is what is required, right? So if the recommendation is to say you need to have one H1 tag, right? There are a lot of helpful videos, but the problem is we don't pay attention to a lot of this detail, and leave the HTML creation to someone who is not aware of the SEO is the only issue, who just creates everything with CSS styling and all that, which looks good, but also make sure somebody who is knowledgeable enough reviews everything, including what kind of title goes in, right? We even made the stupid mistake where we used to drive the header from a template, and then you realize, okay, now it's all showing up as duplicate, and then you go fix everything reverse. So those are like stupid mistakes that we tend to do, and then making sure that the basics are done right is actually more than sufficient, and then creating fresh content regularly, like you said, continuously iterating on this is more important, and then writing the content which is helpful. So typically it's like the customer conversations. Whenever you're having a good conversation with the customer, and then you see that you are actually walking them through the objections, taking them one after another away, and that same process needs to happen on the website, and it is a continuous iterative process that needs to happen with the website content as well, which is what we try to do.
That's all. Yeah, so when it comes to SEO, the key thing is what are the keywords which are bringing your users. So in every customer support interaction that we have, the last line is how did you find us, and exactly what is it that we are searching for. So what we come to ultimately is you might come to a set of very large keywords, right? And where you have to split it is that how many of them you can handle through landing pages on your website, and the rest actually need to go to your blog. And basically having a strategy to build content on the blog around those keywords, and having landing pages on your site around the keywords that you can serve through the website, right? And then organizing your site so that and all this actually starts yielding results at least 1 year after you start it, in our case. So that essentially is SEO. So getting your keywords right, organizing your site on your blog, and then getting people to link to you, right? So that essentially is what would work.
Just a sure.
So actually I have a funny quote to make here. So one of my friends who runs a large like a PPT discovery site for templates and all. So he always tells me that the first thing he does when he wakes up is he actually prays to Google. And the idea is, like, if you want a long-term sustainable business where your product or your site needs to be discovered, you have to start it from day zero. So, and that I'm talking about not in terms of just like keyword based, but for example, Google gives a lot of importance on technical compliance. How does your site load on the mobile specifically? How does your site load on different browsers? Are all the basic stuff like Chris was mentioning, is the site map properly in place? And we made a mistake, like for 4 years, we never paid importance to our website. And now we realized that since it takes around at least 6 months to 1 year to have effective SEO driven results, that you should do it from day zero. Whether you have product market fit or not, if you have a product out there, you must have an awesome website. It needs to be very SEO friendly as far as Google is concerned.
I was about to add to that. 1.5 years ago, we never had a clarity on our SEO thing. So what we did was we established a baseline with 28. We identified 28 keywords, and we put a table. And right next, imagine a first column with the 28 keywords, and then the next column is actually baseline. Against each of this, we put our position in Google. And when we did the baseline, we were shocked, because for many of the keywords that are so important to us, we were 1,000 plus position, right? Which means there is no way our customers can actually see us. And the funny thing about SEO is it doesn't improve on a daily basis. It only improves over a 2-week period. So you need to you cannot monitor on a tomorrow. You do something today and you cannot see whether results have come tomorrow. So we introduced a 2-week cycle to review that metric every 2 weeks. So then we said, okay, 2 weeks ago, what was the number? So there's a baseline, and then the third column we added 2 weeks ago, what was the number and what was the improvement from the baseline, and what is the number today. So we basically put a 5-column chart. And this chart comes out, there is a dedicated SEO guy whose job is to continuously improve on-site SEO, off-site SEO, and building backlinks. He's just one pretty full-time guy. He has lots of work to do for that full-time. And then he publishes this report once in 2 weeks, which basically comes with the 28 keywords, the baseline position that we started with, and then the 2 weeks ago number and the today number. And the today number is in red, green, or yellow. Yellow is same, green is 1 plus, red is so with that one sheet we can actually track how our SEO strategy is working. And this is very, very critical. We have simplified it to just one sheet. And you need to figure out something similar to that for your business. What's your keyword for your business, and come up with that one sheet. And that's very important for SEO actually. Okay. So I want to combine 2 topics and then talk about one more thing and then break out into questions for marketing. One is retargeting and AdWords. Talk about retargeting. Probably start with AdWords and then go into rather search engine marketing and then into retargeting. Probably just take quick from the panel and then go into the next one.
Sure. Identifying the keywords using the tools like SEMrush, Moz.com, and all those actually plays a crucial role in also figuring out the keywords that you want to rank for. In starting very early when it comes to which keywords have the most number of searches using these tools, and then trying to figure out that kind of gives you the perspective of the market size and all those aspects. Plus, you will also understand whether it's a commodity market or how's the trend, right? Google Trends actually gives you a very interesting perspective. People may not be searching directly. In our case, it's not directly search. Subscription billing as a volume is not high. But then if you look at the long tail keywords, you know that there are a lot of people who are still trying to figure out SaaS-based billing, right? Online billing software for software, right? Something like that. You tend to find that as a trend, and for all those keywords that you are not ranking high, you tend to actually try and stay at the top by using your Google AdWords, right? Okay. That's your short-term.
So you basically short-term offset your organic gap
with AdWords, and make sure that you have a retargeting campaign in place. You can target by country, demography, and number of pages that they visited in your website, or a particular page. If they have visited a pricing page, the more chances are they are more likely a serious user. So retarget them more than 7 times in a day, right? It only costs like 1 cent or 2 cent. And those early experiments, whether you are funded or not, doesn't matter, right? Those are absolutely essential to actually understand whether you have the option to actually throw money at that problem and then get them at very low cost of acquisition. And if your customer lifetime value is high, right, there is no reason why you should hold back in terms of getting those customers early. So pretty much, so we have been continuing to do that in terms of doing Google ads as well as retargeting. And that's something that you need to do on a continuous basis.
Have you done anything on content retargeting? Things like Outbrain or Tambola or other tools. I don't know whether you heard about this.
I haven't done anything.
Okay.
No, we haven't tried that either.
So there is another option to actually you write a blog. So there are two things, right? One is you have keywords which you are organically ranking through SEO, right? And then you have a lot of other content. Now, those contents are just sitting in your blog, and people are reading, like going to Forbes and reading stuff in Forbes.com. But right at the bottom of the content in Forbes, there are other like big boxes out there where it talks about some other stuff that is relevant to the content that you're reading, and your content may just be a good fit. They have algorithm to figure out what goes there. So you can actually remarket your content or into those very popular sites using two tools actually. One is Outbrain, which we used significantly to retarget our blog content to various groups. And then another one is an expensive product. They don't have a price on their website, which is called Tambola. So these are the two products that you guys can try. So with that, last one, what are the things that you shouldn't try? We shouldn't do in the early stage. So we are really talking about SaaS for people who are getting started with SaaS, getting to the $100,000 MRR per month, which is really $1 million in revenue. That's the crowd that we are trying to address with this panel, right? So in that phase, what are the things channels of marketing we should ignore? Just tell one. Yeah, you're basically somewhere around $0 to $5,000, but your goal is to get to $100,000 MRR, which is like 1 million in revenue. So you're in that sweet spot. That's what you're shooting for, and what you should not be doing right now. Just ignore them for a moment. What are the things?
I think a half-hearted AdWords experiment is a bad thing to do. AdWords takes a good appetite in terms of time and money to figure it out. And if you have a budget of say $5,000, most likely you cannot figure it out. Yeah.
So you're saying half-hearted AdWords. Actually, in that case, I'll also add one more thing. One of the common things is how to get AdWords going, right? You need to get a really good AdWords guy. Again, you can't do it yourself. It's not like founders can sit and crack the AdWords. That's what he's talking about. And we tried doing it ourselves, myself, and it never worked. So we ended up hiring a really good star AdWords guy. And one of the techniques, I was just sharing it with Krish when I was driving, to hire a really rock star AdWords guy is to look for the e-commerce companies. Right? So basically, those are the people who are doing this all the time, right? So, and you can basically look some good for good people there. So what are the other things?
I think I would say, like the important thing is if you're trying to go from 10K to 100K MRR, is to not to get there as fast as possible, but get there in the most sustainable way. because it's going to have implications on.
No, I'm asking what marketing channels we should not do.
Oh, so I'll just stick to what marketing channels we should only use. So I think you should just stick to SEO and doing the right content
like
marketing.
Events, showcasing in events, and meeting with CIOs and all that. All that.
I mean, so we're talking about small to mid-sized
Yeah,
market,
right.
right? So I think SEO, content targeting, content marketing. Those are two things you should do as much as possible.
And just stay with that.
Yeah, because that will tell you. Because while you are doing SEO and content marketing, right, it will help you optimize, because you're getting people with the right intent come to your site. So it'll help you. Are you able to position your product better? Are you able to do you have the right touch points for them to get engaged with your product?
So basically, you're saying
without wasting
other than
money,
those two things, don't do anything at all.
That's what I would suggest.
I would just add reseller as a channel doesn't work well, especially early days, because they are looking for products that everybody is adopting, everybody is buying, and they want to make it's just more incentivized at that level, and they are not going to actually position your product to make a sale, especially when you're not making a lot of money. And so as a channel, it also puts a lot of burden on you to actually educate that group and all that. The time is spent better in a webinar educating the customers, or writing blogs that educates the customers, rather than trying to educate your reseller. So that's one channel I would ignore at that stage.
Yeah. So just to summarize in that point, like, even for us, resellers never work, because in the early days they're really not looking for a young product. They're really looking for a mature product. And then again, sitting in events, showcasing in events, taking a booth in events, these are all really waste of time. As far as SaaS online channel, at least in my experience, that's how I've seen. Maybe if you have a counter, you should say that.
I think I've heard from people who are selling to very specific markets like UK, where the buying still happens in booth, right? You actually build good relationships. So it also goes by geography, right? Depending on the culture. But mostly if you're trying to do desk marketing and selling, right, I would go.
Yeah, but you don't have the money to go to UK.
I do.
So I think at this point in time, I just want to go back to audience. We have very few of them though. So and then ask audience to shoot some questions to the panel, and even to me, it's fine. Yeah, any one of us. Sure. Yeah.
Two questions. One for you,
Sure.
in terms of Kissflow. You have a very standard pricing, $3 per user per month. And, as you start growing, and as you've already grown, don't you find that you need to start building in techniques for negative churn? Because as your cohorts start building up, if you don't have any strategy for, except for the fact that you could keep on increasing the number of users,
Sure.
any other strategy for sort of increasing the ability to upsell so that you have negative churn?
It's a great point, but actually the pricing, I have 2 points to make there. First one, we had 3 plans initially. Like most SaaS companies, they have multiple plans, right? And then we killed all the 3 plans, and we made it, the goal was to make it super simple for our customers to understand pricing, and not get stuck with which plan to choose, A, B, C, sign here, what is the comparison, all this nonsense we don't want to go through. We did have, like any other SaaS company, multiple plans. We killed them. But as it's a little bit deceptive, it appears $3 in the website. It gives the simplicity for the customers to think $3 per user is all I have to pay. That's very important, because that creates a positioning in the mind of, okay, it's not too expensive product, I can go ahead with my trial. But our average customers buy 50 users. So it's $150 plus another $18. $168 is an average monthly SaaS revenue from a single customer. So our ARPA is like $1,600 to $1,800 a year. So our lifetime value is like $6,000. It's quite high, right? It compared to any other SaaS product, it's higher than even Freshdesk, for example, right? So that's important. So while you keep the longer picture like churn and retention and stickiness in mind, but you don't want to show all of that on your pricing page. Keep
So
the
you have certain other elements that you...
Yeah, because your pricing has to still look simple for the customer to go ahead and do a sign up, give their email ID, get into your system, and give a hook to you, right? And then you can trace him back. So that's what our pricing page says. So.
Okay. Sorry, yeah, you were saying.
But it's a great point, right? The pricing is aligned to grow with the growth of your customer, but with what dimension is also the other part. So when we look at some of the pricing of products which are aligned with based on number of employees in the company, it's not like every day they add like 10 employees every month, right? And then you tend to add, you only add like, even if they add 10 employees, you still add like only a certain number of dollars to their account in terms of customer growth. The very interesting ones actually bring in features which would make it compelling for people to move up in terms of the plans that they want to go for. For example, we tend to see people saying, okay, you are at the 50, you are having 50 customers yourself, right? The moment you want a little bit more solid support and all that, you should go for an SLA based support, right? Just put that on a much higher plan. Similarly, rate limiting, that is, it's most of the usage of SaaS is based on fair usage policy, right? You don't want your customers to hit your system with APIs for thousands of API calls per minute at your lowest plan. So you could bring in those soft elements which actually people value higher and then put them at higher plans, and that prompts people to want to go to those higher plans, and that results in negative churn automatically in terms of MRR growth. That just happens naturally by just aligning your features in a way that they want to get that particular plan because they want it. I really love Freshdesk pricing for this reason, because it also has this emotional value when you look at something and this feature is something you love because you are editing a support ticket and then you see somebody showing a conflict resolution. Somebody else is also looking at a ticket, and then it also shows you that when somebody is editing it, it also shows that okay, somebody else is editing it. It's a very small feature. It's like one small box, but then it prompts people to upgrade from say $19 to even a $49 plan. 7 plans, but then a lot of emotional value attached to it. When you get used to a feature, you know that that's very compelling. You also tend to switch over.
Yeah, so I think this might be useful to everyone. Maybe if you guys could talk about the tool set that you use for your marketing, in terms of content marketing and A/B testing, etc.
We use a whole lot of tools. Okay, actually, iSpirit published a blog like 1 week ago. We did a nuts and bolts of the same session. On that same day I met you at 24/7. So at the end of it, it is mentioned, but just I'll repeat it. For CRM, we actually use Pipedrive. For analytics, for website analytics, we use Google Analytics. For product analytics, we use 2 products actually. We use Mixpanel, we use Intercom for analytics as well as for messaging and drip marketing. We use that. Then we use another product called Full Story, which basically tells us how the customer is actually using the product in a visual way. Then we use a lot of app scripts for automation. We use ChargeBee for recurring billing and payments. We use a whole lot of software, and each one of the software costs $100 to $150 a month. So we use anywhere between 10 to 15 such software. So that's using a number of tool sets is part of the SaaS go-to-market strategy for you to be agile, and you can't build everything yourself. You just have to get the right tools, and we use Olark for chat. So we use Freshdesk for support. So for every one of those things, we use a specific SaaS products, and we just focus on our core stuff. We just don't do anything internally. We in fact ripped off a lot of. We initially did recurring billing ourselves. We ripped it off and moved to ChargeBee actually.
Yeah, I think it's pretty much a subset of what you said, so Stripe for payments. Yeah, so and Kissmetrics. So we use Kissmetrics for our product analysis. Our content marketing team uses a product called BuzzStream to keep track of who they are reaching out to, and what's the status of the relationship between us and them, and a few other odds and ends. So not very heavy, but pretty much in line with.
Yeah. Again, I think there's a lot of mutual tools that we're using here. Mixpanel, and then Intercom. For payment, we use Stripe, and in the plans to use Baremetrics for Stripe analytics. We use SupportBee. It's a Gmail-like chat system. And for chat, we use Jopin, which is similar to Olark. That's all, yeah.
Most SaaS companies have.
that takes us straight into sales. So first question in sales is, what I want to ask is, how did you get the first 20, 30 customers? Or 50 customers, whatever is the number. So tell us exactly how did you go about doing that?
I would say it's all primarily you would classify that part of the sales to either support or sales, right? Mostly consultative sales. For every inquiry that comes in, you tend to jump into that in a way that you try to give a very detailed answer, but a very quick answer within the first 10 to 15 minutes with a very detailed answer. Just excites people and initiates a conversation going, right? That's nothing like closing a sale by just exciting a customer by giving them very pointed answers, especially when they know that when you know that your product in your space, everybody is actually researching extremely well, and most of the time you get a response like yours is the most thoughtful answer we actually received, and that too like really fast, and this is our expectation from going on, right? And then we say, yeah, we will try and do the best. But responding within 1 hour to the customer with a very detailed answer is absolutely essential, whether it's support ticket or sales ticket. Most of the time, people tend to, especially in SaaS, you tend to find that people are writing to support than to a sales@chargebee.com email ID, right? So that is a very good indicator that they want to evaluate how good your support is. And then people tend to just call up on the support line just to test out who's picking up the phone, and then are they able to answer support questions. And we use phone.com. And we deliberately put 1, 2, 3 for BD, 2 for sales, and then 1 for support. Actually, 1 for sales and then 2 for support. And then you will find that people are actually dialing the support line and then asking questions about product features, even though they are not a customer, just to understand the level of support you are able to provide. So support becomes your primary sales channel, not just in the early days, and I think even on a continuous basis.
Okay,
that's our experience.
Yeah, so similar to Krish, so we actually figured out our product in the process of getting the first 50 customers. So the first iteration of our product was pretty different from what we have right now, but we released it and we released it on the Google Apps Marketplace too, and we started to get a trickle of users, right? And we by understanding what kind of expectations they have from what they are looking for, and by not able to meet that, and in the process of meeting that is how we got our first 50-60 customers. And so it was mostly customer development which got us our first 50 customers.
Okay. So I thought it will be relevant to share what I have gone through. The first 100 customers, for paying customers for KissFlow, we have a freemium model. Came through personally selling myself. One of the first things that you got to understand if you're selling to US market is going to work in night shift. As a founder, you first have to move to night shift. So my day starts, while it starts at like 11:30, 12 o'clock, I stay till 3 a.m. in the morning in the US time zone. So my calling, all the signups accumulate in the morning. The calling starts actually, I start calling the customers who signed up. It's all inbound. Signed up at around 7 onwards. And then I talk to them, understand why did they sign up. I also understand how did they search and all these things. So the first 100 customers, paying customers, figuring it out is very, very important in my view as a SaaS product company. The reason is you will actually evolve a sales model that works for your company out of that. For KissFlow, we call that the 3C model. In fact, we found out later by talking to other entrepreneurs, they also follow the same model. The 3C model is essentially catching, coaching, and closing. It's basically 3 phases of the 3C model. Right? The first phase is you got to sign up, you got to have a conversation with that guy, basically catch hold of him. Right? So that's really the logical boundary of that first phase. So once you achieve that first base, you need to throw that guy to a coaching team, which essentially knows how to make sure the customer uses the product. Meaning even products like Freshdesk exactly do the same thing, right? If it's a simple product, somebody can sign up and then click some pages and then understand what the product does. But still, they have a coaching team, they have a demo team which goes through the demo, shows the customer. In fact, they create a customized demo and then show to the customers, right? So the coaching team really makes sure the customer is activated. That's the term that we use in SaaS, right? So once the customer is activated, they're able to do the trial. The real trial happens not when they sign up on the website, but the real trial happens when they actually get activated, right? So from catching to coaching is really that activation process. Once this activation is done, we use these tools that you asked us, like intercom and other things, to really find out the usage metrics behind that. And then we have a report that comes out every day, right? Which basically tells us who are the people who are using in a very high way. So, and then we have a sales team, the closing team, which goes after those customers and talks to them and closes them, right? So essentially, this while at the broad level might look somewhat similar to all companies, but the nuances of that is very unique to each company, right? And hence the first 50 to 100 customers, as founders, typically I would say CEOs, you have to first hand close it, right? Unless you have that experience, you may not be able to really figure out the sales model that works for your company. Well, the framework may be common, but the nuances are very, very different, right? Because if you take ChargeBee, it's an API product. So the way they need to engage, they still use the catching, coaching, closing model, but the way they engage with the developers is very different. So that's something that you got to understand, right? So the other thing that I want to ask is inbound versus outbound sales.
So we are still mostly inbound. We are starting out with outbound, and it is mostly me doing it. So yeah, so I think I'm in line with what you said, that it is. So the aspect that you just talked about would be different from outbound. That is essentially servicing the leads that you're already getting. What I'm talking about right now is finding people who might be interested in your product, doing a cold call, getting them interested, and getting them into the funnel. And that is something that we are starting out right now.
What kind of success? Is there any early indications of?
It takes quite a while. So, but we are seeing some success with getting people to sign up, but it's still low. I'm not very confident that it will work out very easily. So.
Yeah. So for us, it's primarily inbound actually, and I think as a company, since we are trying to grow now, we realize that we are putting efforts to bring in like how do we get more inbound leads, not just organically, but through approaches like SEO, content marketing, and few stuff. But I wanted to answer a related question on like what can you do, for example, when you get your first set of customers, right? Like 10 to 50 customers. So what happens in a lot of this prosumer SMB market is you like one colleague of yours basically he discovers your product, then he basically tells it to his colleague, and then you start seeing patterns in your user database, right? You see that a couple of people have the same domain as such, so that gives you kind of some kind of early traction. That means these are the SMBs that you can try to nurture, because now you realize that these two people are already using it, and that's where you can coach them and kind of figure out how do you get in touch with a decision maker to showcase that you have much larger value proposition to make. So yeah, sorry to digress a little bit, but that was an important point to make. We haven't tried that approach yet, but I'm also not sure if that is even feasible to kind of. So when you're, like I think apps of like lifestyle, entertainment and stuff work great, because when you're in Facebook, you're already in that zone. But if you're looking for some serious business apps that you want to sell to a certain, industry professional, I'm not sure how proven is that capability inside Facebook.
So from an inbound lead generation perspective, right, apart from the typical stuff that you do, as your product matures, you also have the opportunity to go deeper in terms of product integrations and marketplaces where you can position your product better. And then the customer forums are the best place where you can engage in conversations. And those are high quality leads that you get, for which you might even have like 50 to 60% in conversion rate in terms of the leads that you generate from those channels, right? So definitely that's something that is very, very crucial, right? Just seeding in 10 different places in terms of good customer engagement really works well. But apart from that, we also do outbound, but not in terms of cold calling, right? And non-spammy way, right? Even the emails that we send out are, it needs to be non-spammy, right? Whichever way you classify it, you are sending out an unsolicited email, right? But I think one book I would definitely highly recommend is predictable revenue, right? Predictable revenue, right? That's just a model that I think we should definitely read about, where we send targeted emails, nurture very good set of leads. So whichever way you look at it, if your product is being searched by people who are starting out, you are still starting from zero, and then you're going to grow with them. But how do you get the customers who are slightly ahead of the curve, and then so that you're able to actually see the jump in revenue from every now and then? You should be having like a good pipeline of 20 to 50 of those customers who are ahead of the curve, and then you're able to bring them into your product. And that can happen only if they are searching for themselves, or you introduce a product in very smart ways. And that smart way could be the least frictional one is your emails, where you need to stay classy. You still need to make it look personalized. And actually, the volume need not be like 5,000 or 10,000 of them in my perspective. Right? Could be different for different people. But it can be very smart, 10 to 20 well-researched emails targeting those businesses. Actually gives you a good pipeline of 100, 200 of them, and then you work through it. You are talking about at least generating 30 to 50 leads every month, of which you are able to convert at least 20 of them in a month. And that is pretty significant at that stage that we are talking about, in that $5,000, $10,000 range revenue. It has a significant impact in terms of MRR, because you are bringing in a higher value customer, and you are converting at least 10 to 20 of them in addition to your inbound leads.
Okay. So just to add to Krish, in our case, 80% of our leads basically come. We get thousands of leads in a month. Just to give you, I'm not giving the exact number, but you get a scale in terms of what we are operating. So, and most of them are inbound. But we started doing outbound primarily. There are two kinds of outbound you can do. One is calling, another one is emailing. So we have an email team which actually creates very, very qualified emails, and then we start doing outbounds. Just to give you some color on success rates on this thing, our organic inbound conversion is something around 6 to 7% rate, right? On the other hand, our outbound email, which is a sniper targeting, what they call, right? Which means you're not just sending some random emails to some random people. You really know who you're targeting, which company, what is the size of the company, what is the profile, does it fit into your product? You do all these things and give a very, very qualified list for the email team to generate the emails, and then you send an email campaign to them. So that's like a sniper approach, right? And when you do that sniper approach, your conversion rate is like 18%. That we have these statistics in our tracking. So that's something that we are seeing as a good pattern. So I think we are sort of getting to the closure of this session. Before I wind up, I just want to ask one last question, which is, who are the people you need to follow up on the SaaS business? If you're in the SaaS business, these are the people that you need to follow up. I'll probably mention 2-3 names and then probably ask other people to refer. So the 3 people which I follow very aggressively is Jason Lemkin, Aaron Ross, and Lincoln Murphy. These 3 people are somewhat like authority in SaaS. So just follow all these people. You'll get to know really, really good stuff about SaaS.
So I closely follow Kissmetrics and the related companies for what they're doing on content marketing and best practices. So blog structure, how they spread their content, etc. So
I'll just second Jason Lemkin. So
Jason Lemkin is really, really awesome.
yeah, you should follow their blog, SaaStr, SAASTR. In fact, he's going to be having a conference, I think, next year. Yeah. So you should definitely read as much as possible.
Right. So depending on the function, right? So for sales, Jason Lemkin. When it comes to marketing, definitely the Kissmetrics and QuickSprout blogs. HubSpot is extremely good, right? Especially to just seed lots of ideas. They just have like lots of free stuff in terms of templates and Excel sheets that you can use for idea generation, creating marketing calendar and all that stuff. Those are pretty good utilities. You don't have to actually reinvent them. So those are good resources. Definitely Lincoln Murphy when it comes to customer success and all that. Yeah. So I think just following on some of these people in Quora and then their own blogs is just very valuable.
Okay, that's about what we have, and if you're open to questions, final round, and we are done with that. Any more questions, guys? I have one question. Sure. There,
sales
please.
pipeline management, like what do you use usually tools for that? What are typical steps?
Okay. Oh, that's a fantastic question. Okay, we use Pipedrive for sales pipeline management. We have an automated system. As soon as a sign up happens, it goes, okay, right now it comes to KissFlow because we just only get an email ID from the customer. So this is a very interesting question. I'll probably elaborate a little bit. We do something very unique here. So customer signs up, and then that actually goes into our own internal workflow system. We use Kissflow like dog fooding for ourselves. And then there is a data mining team, which basically takes that email ID and does a complete customer profile. What is the first name? We don't even know the first name, last name, because we don't ask for anything else. We know first name, last name, phone number, which company, what is his profile. If we can get his father's name. so all that stuff. And then we classify whether it's a qualified lead or not. That data mining team does it. And then they push a button in Kissflow, it automatically appears in our Pipedrive, which is our CRM system, which we have done the integration. So we completely automated that. And that is allocated based on time zone. So we have a salesperson mapped to time zones. So based on the customer sign up time zone, which is automatically identified based on where he signs up from, we automatically assign this to a salesperson. So we automatically, all the same time zone leads go to the same salesperson. And in Pipedrive, it's like Trello. If you know Trello, it's a card system, right? We have various stages. The first stage is actually the new sign up. And the second stage, we call it CA1. CA1 is called call attempt 1. So we try to attempt the customer one time. And then we do CA2, which is second time. And then we do something called UTC, which is we send a specific mail saying that we are unable to contact you, right? And then, because sometimes customers respond to that, right? And then we finally say, you know what, your trial is expiring, your account is going to be deleted, your data will be lost, some kind of a threatening email, so that somehow we need to get the conversation going. So we do all sorts of jugaad work to get the customer's conversation going. And from there, if any one of these stages, when the customer replies back or make a phone call, things like that, we move them to something called interested or demo scheduled or demo completed. And then if they are really activated, we have a trial stage. And then final stages, we call it RTB. It's called ready to buy, which means they've done everything, they're doing active trial, and we have ready to buy. Our hope is we come in the morning and look at the ready to buy card list and see, okay, if these guys all should be gone. So that's how tight we actually manage the individual stages and manage the pipeline actually. So after we close it, okay, it's interesting. So after we close it, we have a 3-month calendar alert for that. So we basically expect 3 months is when the customers really use the product well. And after 3rd month, we actually set up a customer interview with CEO. So for pretty much, I try to talk to as much customers as possible. Now I've transitioned this to, we have a customer success head now. So I've transitioned this, the first 1.5 years I did it myself. Now I transition this thing. This is a strategy to do upselling, because then once you have established a direct connection with the buyer, sometimes you may not have it, right? So once you have it at that level, then you understand their direction, where are they going and all these things. And then the account mining team. So the first phase is really the hunting team, right? This is really new customer acquisition. It's a different team, different characters, different quotas, different mindset. But then once they converted, they're really a customer. Then you're really trying to do farming, right? In that phase, you really have team which is more consultative selling rather than aggressive selling, right? So it goes to a different team which they are responsible for upselling revenue numbers, not necessarily the new customer acquisition number. So we have a 2 separate team which does that.
So is that team, their farming team is the same as the customer success team?
Yeah, it's overlap. It's overlap. So, but the customer success head has the target. So he has to meet the numbers.
I had one more question, I guess, for the sake of the audience.
Sure.
So you mentioned about data mining. A small team. Are there any tools where you can, instead of just Googling?
Yeah, we use Reportive. Okay, the other tool that we use is we use Reportive, we use Full Contact, we use LinkedIn, we use Guesswork, which is like you just guess their email. There are lots of stuff that we do. So over time you will evolve. It's just necessity is the mother of invention stuff, right? So over time you will figure out, your own teams will figure out different ways to crack this problem. It's not some rocket science, but we do.
There is one company in the current batch, I think it's called Vibe, right? Which is an alternative to Rapportive, where they allow to integrate with for B2B use cases like this. Pretty much, Rapportive is more like consumer friendly.
The problem is we need 90% accuracy. It's hard to get a sign up, and we can't afford to have like 30% accuracy, right?
Yeah.
Or 40% accuracy, which is what Vibe is right now is capable of doing. But we need like 85-90% accuracy because we've already signed up. We can't lose that customer.
So you have to rely on multiple sources again.
You have to really get the best juice out of the sign-up. So we have already done the hard job of getting the customer sign-up.
The only difference when it comes to the pipeline management that we see, or the customer touch point that we see, is depending on the persona of the customer. If you're selling to, so we have two characteristics, two different categories of customers, right? SaaS, primarily the founders or the tech guy who's actually signing up for the product and doesn't want to be called, and he wants to explore the product all by himself. And then you try calling them, right? They're going to be really annoyed, right? Why are you calling me? It's just the phone number, right? And then there is this non-tech person who's used to actually picking up the phone and talking to people and want to be helped. So depending on the category of customer, we need to approach them. So the simple way in which we do that is we actually use Splunk extensively for logging and all that, and we also make use of the data for our own sales team. So there is also a daily report of consolidated report of actually it's pretty exhaustive in the sense that every day where the trials came from, the sources, their behavior in terms of all the clicks that they went through within the website in terms of working backwards, and then all the way through the referral source. That gives you indication how many steps they have taken within the website itself to read through all the material. And then within the application, once they sign up as a trial user, what did they do within the application in terms of click-through? Right. So that pattern, if they are checking the API and then creating a plan and then directly doing a specific API call, then you know that this guy is a tech user, right? So you know how to approach him. Versus a non-tech person who's actually checking out the hosted page, playing with the themes, then you know that, okay, you can be very helpful, right? Just find out, go to use built with to find out which platform they are built on, and reach out to them saying, hey, your website is on Shopify, I can see that, and this is the plugin that's available. Now how can I help you, right? Can see these demos? These are similar customer websites. Now that just gets the conversation going. So sending contextual first emails based on their behavior inside the application is like a real clincher when it comes to closing these sales.
So, Dave, one more point is we make sure that we talked about so many tools, right? And if you expect your sales team to go use all the tools to really figure out which customer to target, it's never going to happen. So what we did is we used Pipedrive as a single unified dashboard. And it's important you select the tools which has API access. So we integrated with Pipedrive APIs, all the data, usage metrics, everything into that lead. Like when you get a lead, we have different parameters talking about, he's came, last seen is yesterday, last seen is 2 months ago. His runtime usage is so much, his wizard usage is so much. We have all these numbers. So sales team can have one system, because getting them to use even one system is difficult. Right? Getting them to use 5 systems is never going to work. So we basically integrated everything into one single unified dashboard, and they get everything there. They don't have to log into anywhere else. And we made sure we eliminated data entry. Sales team hates data entry, right? Because if you ask them, give them the CRM and them enter data, they don't do it. So everything we pre-populated. We expect them only to move the deals from stage A to just drag and drop it here. It's in the new stage. That's all they are supposed to do. Everything else is automated. That's important, actually. Okay, that's about. Sure.
What is the mix of your team size? Like how many sales, marketing?
Okay. You start out predominantly as an engineering-oriented SaaS product company, except that maybe the founder is more marketing and sales guy. But over time, your marketing will actually take over. Marketing and support will actually take over a majority chunk. Meaning, because the content marketing, you need a lot of people, as well as for support, depending upon what kind of product you have. So right now, if you really look at it, we have, I would say, 25% in engineering, another 20% in marketing. I'm just doing the math in my mind. In sales, we have sales and support. We have the balance pretty much, because it's an overlapping team. Because the support team, which is essentially the customer success team, they do the coaching. So we do the whole thing together. So that's how it works. So after some point in time, the engineering team pretty much doesn't grow very big, but the other team starts growing very, very big, actually.
Yes, so we are pretty small, so we are just 6. All of us were programmers earlier, but I have moved to a more of a sales, marketing, customer support role, and there are 5 people who essentially are into programming, and we use a lot of consultants for our content marketing. Yeah. So 3 to 4 consultants at any given time.
Okay, so we are a 12 people team, around 8 to 9 technical members, 1 support, 1 marketing and communications, and myself. Yeah, but I think for a SaaS company, I was looking at, I was at Joelix conference, I was listening to Sridhar's speech. So I think there used to be days where your engineering team and marketing and sales were like equally sized once you're a growing SaaS company. But I think going forward, it's like the amount of marketing you can do online in terms of targeting and profiling them. Your engineering team size, if you look at percentage of your team structure, I think your marketing should go up and engineering stays the same and sales team should go down. That is the ideal profile you want to build. Also, I'm going to plug in, if you know a great content marketer and marketing head, we are looking for, I'm looking for it. So please send in the recommendations or leads.
Yeah, so I think pretty much a similar mix. Just that our product is more engineering focused. So we have about 18 in the engineering side, more on the customer support, plus marketing, and then 1 person on the inside sales. But it's mostly consultative sales, so it's mostly support that's more heavy than the sales part. Sales becomes more like more of closing, follow-up, making sure the leads don't fall through the cracks. But it's mostly support heavy. So that's a skew.
Sure.
It's a mix. So we have a couple here and a couple in the US. It's very hard to find them. Yes.
My experience have been just opposite. I've never figured out the consultants work for high-end work. So, meaning, for example, data mining, it's a very well-defined work. You can outsource that because you just tell them, I want all these things. You fill this up. If you fill this, you count it as 1 record, and I pay you $10 per 1 record, right? It's very easy to say that. When you can define well-defined work, you can easily outsource that. But like content marketing, you need to understand your strategy, your positioning, competitive positioning, so comparative metrics, so many things, right? And it just becomes too difficult to do that with external consultants. That's my personal experience. I found it very difficult to do that, actually.
If you can find domain experts.
Yeah. Okay. I think we have really exhausted the time, and thanks. I hope this was a useful session, and thanks a lot for everyone. And I also want to thank Dave, who has helped us get the panel members and also give us some points to talk about. Thanks everyone. Thanks my panel. It's been wonderful, guys, and thanks a lot.